Welcome back to the Xav Builds Podcast, the show where we get real about construction, business, and what it actually takes to build with purpose. Today, I'm joined by Sam Brack, founder of Brack Concrete Designs. If you're in Canberra or the surrounds and you've seen polished bench tops, floors, or floors that stop you in your tracks, odds are he's had his hand in them. Sam is not just doing polished concrete. He's pushing the limits with design, with custom bench tops, floors, and finishes that are built to last. In this episode, we're going to talk about mastering the craft of polished concrete. We're not talking about GFRC anymore, and what it takes to turn a niche trade into a thriving creative business. This is about doing things properly, standing out in a crowded space, and grinding your way to greatness. Literally. Sam, really good to have you, mate. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Mate, tell us about how you got started in concrete.
Bit of a funny one. Fell into it. Wasn't planning on doing it. Never had any interest in it. My whole childhood through school, chippy, building. All I ever wanted to be was a builder. Done my carpentry apprenticeship through Brother Projects for about 6 years.
They're good builders.
They're really good. Had a really good time with Nathan and Jamie. Learned a lot. And then obviously got to as far as I could really go with that. And then wanted obviously level up a little bit more on my pursuit to becoming a builder. So I thought I wanted another trade under my belt. So went into concreting with no intention to polish. And then, done that for about 12 months. And then, my boss at the time had grinding equipment, started polishing, and then,
Away you went.
Away we went.
How good.
Yeah.
And so you just sort of just discovered it and you're like, this is mad.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this.
Yep. And I think my first 18 months of my apprenticeship, I was with another builder, Nita Homes, and we were just project homes, frames and trusses. Loved that, great. I learnt how to work hard and how to work fast, but got to the end of it, my time there where we were doing frames and trusses, but we weren't seeing the whole aspect of it. Moved on to obviously new homes, remodelling, renovations and such, and then just fell into the process and actually doing something from start to finish. That's why I think polish worked really well for me, because you could go to a raw piece of concrete and then turn it into something no one's really seen before.
I've seen some really cool stuff that you've done, man. It looks fantastic.
Yeah.
It seems as well like concrete, polished concrete is like all the rage.
Yep.
I wouldn't say it's the in thing, because I feel like it's been the in thing for the last 20 years.
Yep.
But in terms of design, like talk me through that. Like what are you talking about when you say concrete design? Like that's the aggregate.
Yeah. So at the start, when I started my business, it sort of, again, when I did start, I wasn't prepared to start a business. I come off sort of getting beat, and then just sort of got jack of what we were doing, where the company was going, and then essentially quit on the spot and thought, shit, looks like we're starting our own business.
Sink or swim.
Yeah, that's right. Yep. Went out, started my own business with about $400 in my bank account and a shit ton of debt, and thought, well, shit, here goes nothing.
That's the best way to do it, though.
Oh, absolutely.
Because you've got to perform and you've got to be there every day. That's sort of same as I started my business, my ACT Decks. Had nothing, and I was just like, I'll have a crack at this. And away we went.
Yeah, that's right. And I think being there, I think a big push was that you didn't want to fail, because you didn't want the whole "I told you so" kind of thing. Yeah. So we went out in that. First thing I done, day after, I rang Husqvarna. I said, right, I need a set of grinding machines. And they're like, okay, no worries. Rang the bank, not a chance. And I'm like, shit. So then that's when we got into GFRC. I thought, this is an entry level. Build a business through this. We were good coming off the back of carpentry. I understood formwork. Coming off the back of concrete, I understood concrete enough. We built that business, got it up, and then at the time we were advertising polished concrete floors, and we had enough people that knew what I was doing that would sort of, hey, can you come and polish this floor? Yep, no worries. So we were hiring equipment out of Melbourne, costing an absolute shit ton of money, but it was just that step into the foot into the door. Done that for about 12 months, 18 months, continued that solo, and just got sort of friends and family to help installs and that sort of stuff. And then, by the time I got to purchase a set of gear, I sort of stretched myself and then realised I can't get anything to get it around. So then we just built a trailer in our shed, whacked a number plate on it, chucked it behind a ute, and off we went.
Mate, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Like I can see, through your work how hard you work, for one, and like how much pride you take in your work as well.
Yep.
And I remember when I was sort of starting out, it was like your reputation was everything. So you're just trying so hard to make sure that the client's happy, the next person's, lined up, ready to go.
Yep.
And also having that carpentry background as well probably would have really helped you to understand the importance of, your formwork essentially.
Yeah, that's right. And then going into being brought on at the start of the project and saying, righto, let's form this thing up. Let's do set downs in your carpeted areas. We've done all formwork recessed boxes for sliding doors. That whole thing was sort of done at the start of the project before any earthworks had started. So we had a good understanding of, I guess, another bit of a level up for that with having that carpentry background. And then, you would have
had the bases, the foundations like set because you've got that, what comes next and you know what they need. So you've got it, you can dial it right in essentially.
That's right. And I come off brother projects where we were building multi-million-dollar homes. So I knew how these things went together. So I knew recessed doors, set downs, all this sort of thing, over measuring concrete for set downs, coming and doing our first cut and then coming back when your carpenter flicks out the frames, saw cutting all your window rebates, doors, build your frame, and then you've got that perfect transition.
Yeah. I remember when I was doing frames, 14 years ago, and we'd go around and you'd get on the slab in the morning, you'd check how big it was and how far out generally it was.
Yep.
And there was this one, I don't know who the crew was, but every slab that they did was within 5 mil over like 25 meters. Yep. But then, you get 15, 30, 38 mil over and you're just like, oh, Jesus, what the hell are these guys doing?
Yeah, and the worst one we went to was 70
mil.
over a hallway. Yep.
Far
from
out.
Front to back.
It's always bad around the garages, I found too.
Yeah. And then even understanding concrete, you're like, it's not that hard.
Yeah.
Like, I understand.
There is a bit of shrinkage, but it's not that much.
It's not that much. Yeah, that's right.
Now, talk to me about your first job. When was the, this is it moment?
I guess there wasn't that for a while where there was a lot of trial and error.
A lot of mistakes.
A lot of mistakes, yeah, especially in the world of GFRC because we were the second, I guess, in Canberra to do it.
Yeah.
And then we found when we were doing it, we didn't feel like we were getting the right information. So we broke a lot of shit. Yeah. Things were shrinking a bit more than they should.
So for people that don't understand what GFRC is, do you want to explain that?
It's glass fibre reinforced concrete. Yeah. So it's essentially cement-based product, no aggregate, interlocking fiberglass, and that's what gives it strength. Best thing about it is everything's done upside down, sprayed with a face coat. So it is the most perfect concrete product you can get. Only problem is the product's a little bit weak, porous, and all that sort of stuff. Well and truly, it has its place in some aspects of building, and in some aspects of building, I don't think it's quite there yet in regards to sealers, durability. Especially kitchen benches, cooking on it 2-3 times a day. I just don't.
Porous.
Yeah, that's right, and that's probably one of the big reasons why we got out of it because we couldn't bring ourselves to go and sell this $15,000 bench top, knowing in 12 months we're going to be back either resealing it or fixing chips or all that sort of stuff.
Makes it difficult.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, so you moved sort of away from that a little bit?
Yeah, we did, yeah. So just in that space, like we're still creating furniture, like barbecues, all that sort of stuff. Barbecues, we're sort of trying to slip a little bit away from that and going to off-form, conventional concrete. We feel that's a better product. It's a lot more forgiving. If there is an issue, you can polish it.
That's where you pull the forms off towards the end
and
you rub the hell out of it essentially.
Yeah.
Give it that burnished look.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That real concrete look where we didn't feel like you're getting that with GFRC. It's got its own look. It's great. It's great for wall cladding. If you can make it in a mold, you can essentially make it in GFRC, which is great. But yeah, when it comes to that,
just the limitations there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I feel like if you want like a concrete kitchen bench top though, you want concrete in my mind.
Yeah.
You want to sand it back and have that aggregate showing. And
yeah, that's right. That real raw concrete look, like that's concrete.
You've done a fair few of them?
Yeah, we have. Yeah. We're inside, not much.
Getting to the size you're getting to, though, it's probably harder to do those smaller jobs, right?
It is, yeah. It is. Like for our ongoing clients and customers, we don't really feel like we can say no, which is fine. But in saying that, like we will send our guys out to do those little jobs just to, reinstate that finesse, that fine detail, just to sort of
keep them sharp.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Now, what drives you to keep doing what you're doing day in and day out? Because you've gone through a fair few challenges, but you seem to be just brushing them aside and
challenges. Yeah. I don't know. I just the love for it. I don't. It's. I don't know why I love concrete as much as I do, but I think the innovation, where we're taking it, we're really, really working out the science behind concrete and why it performs the way it does to try and curve that to bring a better product out. Now we've moved away from GFRC. It's opened up a market for our micro cements and our terrazzo overlays. So it's good that we're bringing these new products into the market in Canberra that people haven't really seen before. Our terrazzo overlays, we can go to a 200 square metre house, it's 30 years old, tile finish, jack tiles up, and you can have a terrazzo floor 20 mil thick over anything, polish it up and it'll last forever.
That's sick.
Yeah. So, and then especially burnishes, 9 times out of 10, they don't exactly go to plan. We've got a product now, we're the only one in Canberra installing this product. It's called Architop. So it's a 4 mil micro cement, but it's the only micro cement on the market that you can put a trail machine on. So you can get that look of burnished concrete, but again, you can put it over anything. So you can come through on a commercial building, level the floor, top it, and it will look like a perfect burnished floor poured yesterday at 100 mil thick.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I just think with concrete, like, it's just endless. I feel like too many people sort of don't understand the complexity of it because it's trial and error concrete. Like once it's in there, it's
unforgiving.
It's unforgiving and it's hard to get out.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and especially in the off-form space, like there's guys down, Hungry Wolf, which used to do it, and the Modern Concrete Boys. Everyone's trying to mimic what they're doing.
Well, I think everyone has seen the Milky Way concrete.
Yeah, if you don't know who Modern Concrete is, then you don't know concrete. But the stuff that they're doing that's where the challenge of concrete is knowing how to manipulate it, how to, take your time with it. Like I've seen a lot of concreters, we've gone to repair some stuff where they've tried to get that floating look in one pour, and I don't care how good you are, you're never going to get it.
I've done the Hungry Wolf course on the floating stairs and you have to do it in multiple pours. And the way that he's come up with it, like that's a pretty cool way.
Yeah.
But so much goes into that. Yep. That's not just a chuck the conch in there and trowel it off and away you go. That's a real big process.
Yeah, that's right. And even, you could have your processes in place and go to a job and it's not going to be the same as the last. Every single job is going to be different. Substrates are different, where it is, all that sort of thing. Even, your shadow line form, We've designed a system now for your undermount lighting, so it sinks up underneath. But even that, you've got to try and pull your form out without pulling that out. But then you've got to try and get that out, and you've got a 40 mil gap. Like it's
You're gonna try not to crack that. Yeah.
But that's where I think the love comes from. Like you nail that, you stand back and you go, holy shit, look at that.
Yeah.
And even the boys, like all my guys, like they're so passionate about it, and they just they're there taking photos and going home and talking to their missus about it. Like
it's definitely an art form.
Yeah.
Like concrete, I feel, it's so unique. Like the amount of things that you can do with concrete now, as opposed to say 30 years ago, I feel like we're just using it so much more.
Yeah.
And, there is that sustainability element that's, I guess people are a little bit against with concrete.
Yeah.
But if you look at it from perspective of you put it in there once and it's going to be there for 50 years, I think that sort of would set that off a little bit. You know what I mean?
That's right. And we are being innovative with it. Like we're using a new system now called Biax. I'm not sure if you've seen it. So it's a void system in conventional house slabs that is 100% recyclable. So they're one of the companies in Australia that can recycle non-recyclables. I'm not sure what plastic that is, but it goes in. And then the best thing about that, in 20 years when they're ripping these slabs up, you're not trying to get rid of polystyrene and all that sort of stuff, because I think that's what we're facing now is, pods come in 20 years ago. Now we're knocking these houses down and no one knows how to get rid of contaminated concrete. So I think, we're moving at a rate of knots with it. It's great to see.
What is it exactly?
They're a plastic void form system, essentially the same size as waffle pod. They push together, lock in, clip together, wings on the top, lay mesh, off you go.
Right.
So the best thing about that is you do not have to cut anything. You're not sawing waffle pods, polystyrenes going everywhere. A whole house slab will rock up on one pallet. Put it down. It's quick. It's durable.
It's not that big, massive truck.
That's right. And then the biggest thing that we have now is builders ringing us up. When are your pods getting picked up? When's your rubbish getting picked up? You ring up 3-4 times and it's still there. And it's like, mate, I don't know. We're governed off some dude in Sydney running a truck down. Yeah, who feels like going and picking it up.
And if it's a windy day, they're down the road.
Oh, mate,
on the site fencing.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter if the wind wants to get under it. I remember we finished a slab out at Gundaroo and we left it for the weekend. We had this thing formed up, mesh over it, the whole works, come back and this thing was rolled up the paddock. And sort of the worst thing that's
a terrible Monday, that.
And we're sort of joking about, this is going to be shit. And then, the neighbour comes up and that's a reserve next door and you've got 30 waffle pods in there and you think that's a $25,000 fine.
So, mate, what sets Brack apart from the other concreting outfits?
I think our processes, like our product, definitely, our presentation, like we take that with a lot of pride. Our vehicles, the way our boys present themselves, uniform, all of that. So that's one aspect.
When I first met you, that was one of the first things I picked up on. You present really well.
Yeah.
I think that transfers through to all your work. The way with my guys, I think if you look good, you play good.
100%. And that's like when I was young, every cent we were making, we were reinvesting, and everyone was mad. I know my old man. I went out and bought my Isuzu, and he's like, "You're mad." And then that thing sat in my shed for 2 years while we built that truck. He just kept coming over. We kept adding chrome and lights and everything. And I'm like, Dad, this is going to pay off. And as soon as that thing started rolling out, people started looking at us differently. And I think you're right. If we rock up to site, clean trucks, clean vans, clean uniform, you get treated a lot better. And you're like, these dudes are the real deal.
They're professionals.
Yeah.
I think being a trade and in construction, we have to think like that a bit more.
Yeah.
The way that you present yourself, matters.
Oh, 100%. And I think that's a big thing with us. We're trying to curve that stereotype of concreters. You can present well, you can have nice trucks, you can have a good crew, you know what I mean? Like I know people ask you, what do you do for work? We're in concrete. And they're like, oh shit. Oh, okay. It's like, well shit, go look at my Instagram and look at what we do. We do some cool shit. Yeah. So,
that's the most frustrating thing about being a tradie. Like, people just profile you straight off the bat. You're just like, if you knew what I was doing and the cool stuff that I do.
Yeah, that's right.
Maybe you wouldn't say that.
Yeah. And it's like, man, I go to work and I do some of the coolest thing you've ever seen. You go to work and you sit in an air-conditioned office and play on your computer. I tell you where I'd rather be.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. And I think the challenge that we face each day is, creating new stuff or coming up with different systems and keeping you guys accountable for looking good.
Yeah, that's right. And it's been hard. It's been hard to break that. There's been a couple of shit conversations and a couple of blow-ups, send a couple of guys home, and that's where it got to. If you didn't rock up in uniform, get in your car and go.
We've got the same policy, mate. Yeah. I think it's a respect thing, really.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And it's a uniform, we dropped, I think last uniform thing was $7,500. You know what I mean? And that's we're supplying this to you. Please wear it. You know what I mean? I know when I was with my first boss, we didn't get shit. And I
remember asking my first boss, hey, can I get a shirt? I want to represent the company, you know. I want to look good. Yeah. Yeah. It's I think the value in it is definitely understated.
Yeah.
When you turn up and you look good, people look at you and go, "Oh, that's with those guys with Brack," or
Yeah, that's right.
That's what you want.
Yeah, and that comes with a lot of challenges as well. I know when I was when we got this truck on the road, when we were doing everything, mate, I was working 90 hours a week, and I'd get back on we'd done a lot of work in a state. Whether I got back on a Friday or a Sunday, wouldn't matter if it was 10 o'clock at night, 12 o'clock at night, I was out there washing my truck, parking in the shed because we had a new client that we had to go to on Monday. You know, we're servicing machines at 1 o'clock in the morning just to make sure nothing goes wrong. We look good when we rock up. So we've sort of had that fundamental since day one. So we will continue to carry that through for as long as I'm doing it. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I think that they're the fundamentals of business.
Yeah,
and I want to get into that later, and I'll deep dive into that later. But what sets you apart is, from my mind, is you do everything. Regarding concrete. You've got a team that does residential house slabs. Is that right?
Yep, that's right.
And then you've got another team that's working on more commercial stuff.
So we stopped doing commercial about 12 months ago. So our concrete team, they work on the structure, the placement side of things, and then our sort of decorative team, they work on making it look pretty, the polish, micro cements, and all that sort of stuff. So I think what sets us apart is you call a concrete polisher up, hey, can you come and polish my slab? Concreter does a shit job. You know, you're the builder who's just spent 80 grand on a slab and 40 grand on a polisher. Something's gone wrong, everyone's pointing fingers. Where with us, we get engaged at that site cut stage, and we will be there until you hand that house over. And we will look at the engineer's plans. We understand it enough that if we need to add piers, delete key joints to make this thing look good, I think that's what separates us, is you can have confidence that you're going to get the best product you can by coming with us.
It sounds like you're taking control of the outcome.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing, especially when we weren't doing the concrete. The polish started to take a bit of a dive off, you know, and we were getting that feedback from architects, designers and builders saying it's too hard. And it's like, well, you don't have the right team. You know what I mean? Like, even for us, if we're doing jobs in the south around, we're driving past, we'll stop, we'll go in, we'll look at this slab to make sure there's no staining, it's not cracking, seeing how it's performing and all that sort of stuff. So not only do we have that freedom to control the whole thing, but we work with 3 concrete suppliers in Canberra. We're about 7 weeks out from opening our showroom. So we've currently got 17 different colours in the polish. We've got a range of about 11 in the exposed ag, micro cements and everything. Now, if you come to us with a choice of colour, we will tell you what plant is going to be able to provide that best mix, you know, regards to performance, colour and end result. And I don't think,
that's from trial and error with you, right?
Trial and error, yep. Like the samples that we have in our workshop, we've been working on these for 3-4 years. These micro cements that we're doing, we're sort of soft launching it now, but we've been working with the guys at HighChem in Sydney for the last 2 years about this one product, just to make sure when we bring this to market, it's the best product we can physically offer our customers.
I think that micro cement's becoming really popular from things like the block and you know, everyone's talking about Venetian plaster and things like that. But you can go into a bathroom and, you know, micro cement the whole bathroom, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's waterproof, it's watertight. If you do it, the hardest thing is just backing yourself, doing the product properly so you don't have any of that water penetration. But I think once you understand the product, once you know your systems and your processes, it all comes pretty easy. So, the variety of what you can do with it and the finish you get is pretty incredible,
bench tops, I think that Future Philip, he uses it a fair bit.
Yeah, he does.
Loves it.
Neil, yeah.
And now you're in different states, is that right? Where are you at with business?
So currently now, we're currently in a bit of a build phase. So every 2 or 3 years, we'll take a step back. You've probably noticed we're not really active on social media, anything like that. We'll sort of audit the company, work out what we're doing, where we are, what our projections are. So we're currently in that phase. Talking about 2 years ago, we were Hobart to Brisbane, everywhere in between. When we first started, I was away more than I was here. And then, about 2 years ago, we had a branch down in Hobart that sort of, unfortunately, we had lift. And just when we were at that peak to really crush it, I had to come back. And then so that we sort of pushed that under the table a little bit. It's not completely gone. But our main focus is just pushing the Canberra market and just really, really delivering the best product we can.
It sounds like you're just everywhere, mate. You just absolutely froth it.
Yeah, I do, mate. Yeah.
Do you have trouble saying no? Because it sounds like you do.
Oh, I like doing the cool shit.
Yeah.
Like I like doing the flash houses. And I like being able to work with the builder and getting to the end of a project and them going, shit, like that's good. Like I hate conflict. I hate when things go wrong. So yeah, we like to sort of just travel around, pick and choose the jobs we want to do and just sort of deliver the best product we can. I think now packaging this whole thing with the concrete, we can't offer that service anywhere else because we don't really understand how that concrete's going to perform.
You don't have the access to the plants, or you have access to the plants, but
you're
not using them regularly, so you can't guarantee what's coming.
Yeah, that's right. Where in Canberra, I can guarantee you where a weak point is in a slab, where we predict it's going to crack, what this is going to do. Like we'll pour a slab and I'll know exactly what diamonds I'm going to use for a first cut. We have that science down pat. So, and I just don't think, with expansion, the concrete won't go away. Polish can just chuck it in a truck, chuck it in a van, hook a generator up, and you're in Brisbane overnight. Yeah. So we do a little bit of travelling with the polish, but with the concrete, it's just purely Canberra.
Yep.
And surrounds, obviously. Yep.
Now, talk to me about the challenges and misconceptions around concrete, especially polished finishes.
It is unpredictable to a point where you can tick every single box and you're still not going to know about the actual end result until that concrete's down. I think the biggest thing with polish is, I guess, everyone thinks it's cold. It's not. Everyone thinks it's slippery. It's not.
With the new 7-star energy ratings that have come in, you would have had to engineer a lot of your slabs with, insulation underneath.
Yeah, that's right. So we usually insulate with a 50 mil XPS.
Yep.
Which is incredible. That thermal break, really holding in that denseness of the concrete, heat, everything. Problem with that is there's still engineers in Canberra that don't like the product.
XPS foam underneath the slab.
XPS foam, yeah, especially thickenings over the top of piers, everything. It's a bit of a grey area. XPS does have a higher structural compression rate than concrete, so it shouldn't be a problem. But even, running it, they want us to stop it before our 3-bar and sort of run our 3-bar so our thickening's on the ground. Problem with that is you're breaking that thermal break.
The thermal break, yeah, and then you're losing
it's
energy.
Obsolete. It's absolutely obsolete. And even when you put it down, like people don't understand, if you leave 100 mil gap, there it goes. You know what I mean? It is very important that you get that right. So, yeah, I think anyone who takes that sort of stuff seriously, XPS is the way to go. There are other things like reflective membranes and that sort of thing that you can use. It's a bit of a get out of jail free card.
Not as good as the foam.
Not at all. Yeah, not at all. Like, if you want to do it properly, if that's going to be, you want to spend the money, it's not cheap. 50 mil XPS under, up the sides, but you're bricking.
Do you do that? Do you put the foam on before and then finish up to it, or you put the sides on underneath obviously before and then the sides?
So we'll just go set up our perimeter form. Yeah. And then depends. Some people like to lay plastic XPS. We'll lay plastic XPS and then plastic over the top, just so nothing can fall in there. It looks neat. I think it's more not a performance thing. It's more of what we want to look at when we're doing it, because XPS starts to look a bit hairy, and then when you're looking at it for 3 days, you're like, man, that looks like shit, but it works. So and then we come through, pour our slab, edge boards off, and then XPS on, dirt up, and then you're pretty much complete.
Good to go. Yeah. And heating in slabs. How do you is it the hydronic heating?
Yeah, hydronic. Yeah.
How do you? Because I know, like, I just had a friend who just had their slab done, and it's got heating in the slab, and it is beautiful.
It is,
I love that. And anyone that's been into a home with that in slab heating will know how good that is.
Yeah, that's right. Walking, barefoot across your house and getting home on a cold day and knowing your house is going to be warm. I think it's a $30,000 to $40,000 expense. I think if you're going to do it, if you're going to go the whole 9 yards, whack it in. Once it's in, you can use it. You don't have to use it. Sort of up to your discretion. Problem with that is what we've been finding off customers is with Canberra in that sort of alternate, some days are warm, some days are cold. It takes 3 days for it to cool down. So, but in saying that, you've got to be conscious of that. If you set up your house properly, big windows, you have that, that nice northerly sun coming in, that in my opinion, the denseness of the concrete will heat that floor up and it will reduce it slow out the course of the night.
And you get that thermal back.
You do.
Night,
yeah, that's right. So it's one of those things, if you want to spend the money on in-slab heating, it's beautiful, but if you set your house up correctly, I think it's a little bit of a feature that maybe you could spend elsewhere.
Yeah, good call there. But thinking about the independent variables of concrete, like you've got to take into account the temperature, like of it, that it's going to be that day.
Yep.
You've got to take in if it's in full sun, if it's in half sun, right?
Yep.
What are some other ones?
Oh, everything.
When you mentioned soil as well.
Yeah, so different class sites will react differently. You've got the variables of the climate, but then you've also got issues with the plant. If that plant breaks down, if you've got slow service, if you've got more than an hour between trucks, like that's when the problem starts.
I've had that happen.
I think you can,
terrible.
especially when you're doing an off-white slab in the middle of summer.
Yeah.
Concrete's promised at 7, and your first truck gets there at 10:30. You're in for a fight.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. If you've got delay in service, but off the bat that's okay, you can sort of account for that. If they send you the first 2 trucks and then an hour and a half later you get your third, that's when you're going to have a problem. But in saying that, we've been in that position enough times to know sort of how to counteract that, and we've got a product now, a sort of a catalyst-based curer. So if you have a cold joint, spray this on, whack it in with a shovel, it will reactivate the cement particles, pour up to it, cold joint gone.
I've actually seen that. I think
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, so that's something we've introduced to all of our decorative slabs. We don't charge for it. So it's a 3-stage curing process that we've started over the last 8 months, and the results that does is just incredible. Like you could come down, spray this, so it's an aliphatic alcohol, and then it's a catalyst, and then it's an eco.
That's the 3-stage.
That's
right?
the 3-stage. So you spray the catalyst on when you're breaking it, when you're trail machining. You want to work that into the slab. That'll help it harden, and then the eco will help you retain that moisture for the first 28 days. The best thing about the curing processes that we use is once they're done doing what they need to do, UV will turn to dust and it'll sweep off, gone. So when you come through with a grinder or your polishing process, you don't run into any issues with chemical reactions, with your densifiers and all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
We're getting very technical. For those people at home, that are sort of finding it a little bit hard to follow, don't worry. You're going to learn something along here. But yeah, I think the point of it is that concrete is an art form.
Yep.
And it is trial and error, and you need to know what you're doing, because you put a house slab in and you have these cold joints or dramas like that. It's big money to fix.
Yep.
And I know with grinding as well, there's a certain way that you trowel.
Yep.
Because you don't want the rocks to go too deep, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So with our polish mixers, usually you're looking at conventional concrete has about 900 kilos per cubic metre of stone. Our polish mixers are sitting at about 1,400.
Way more aggregate.
Do load it up.
Yeah.
The problem is you need to make sure you're covering footprints. You're not leaving screeds down. You're getting on it late with a bull flow. You're getting on it late with a trail machine. And I think that's where the difference is. That's where it can go wrong. With full exposed, you do have a bit of freedom. You can continue to grind down. You don't want to, but you can. But yeah, there's definitely a technique to really getting that right.
And that's why you'd prefer, if you're polishing it, you want to place it, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And we say now, if you want to, if you want us to do it, this is what we guarantee. People have sort of got the wrong impression of the package that we do. So we will actually, if you don't want to use us for the placement, we will go out and help you place it. If you want us to polish it, but you've got your concreter, that's great. We'll go out, maybe give you a guy or two for the day, tell you how we want it finished. We'll cure the slab, and then we'll jump on it.
Again, that's you controlling the outcome.
That's right. That's right. And without us, because we know, Canberra's a small place. You've got relationships and all that. All good. If you want to use your concreter, we're happy to jump in, help, as long as, we're the ones polishing it at the end. We'll tell you where to stop, and all that sort of stuff, when to start stripping your boards. Strip your boards too early, your edges slump, you've got no aggregate.
Yeah.
So that's another big one too.
Bloody hell.
Yeah.
How do you keep up with all of this?
a lot of coffee.
Oh, they're opening the. That's all right. Sorry, where were we? Let me get a drink. Like, I'm loving this already. I'm a bit of a concrete nerd. Like, I like to watch all the stuff on concrete. And, like I did that Hungry Wolf thing. It's pretty cool.
It is, and the things you can do with it, like you were saying before, like it just are endless. You know what I mean?
Well, I remember. I think I was watching Grand Designs, and this it was a chippy, and he did a concrete slab in there, and he put like hammers and like different stuff. So when they ground back the floor,
yep.
The hammer would like pop up in the floor and stuff like that. And I've seen, I think over in America they do expo driveways and they put glowstones in it or something like that. So at night, have you done any cool stuff like that?
Yeah, we have. The problem with that is they get their charge off UV, off the sun. So inside they will work to a point. If it's not getting that sunlight in from the UV, they won't charge. We were sort of playing around with them about 8 years ago. Haven't really done too much of it lately, but done a pulse around, and it is cool. But I think it's one of those things. It's a very expensive thing to add in for something that's only going to sort of last that 3-4 years.
Oh, so it doesn't last that long?
No, not at all.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Huh. That's not as cool now.
No, it's not. No.
So do you do you put the aggregate, like, do you throw it over the top at all? Is that a thing?
So we will only do that if we're line pumping. So you see, and this is another thing with experience, a line pump will only be able to push through roughly 800 to 900 kilos of stone per cubic metre.
You're doing 1,400.
That's right. So we just done a job, a big outdoor deck, suspended slab, and we had to line pump it because we couldn't set up a boom on the street. So that's why you see us seeding through the top, just to let that sit in the top. And once we grind it, you do have that nice level of exposure over the top.
We're looking at Sam's website. This is Brack Concrete Designs, mate. Well done here. This looks phenomenal.
Yeah, they've done a good job.
Really good job.
Yeah.
Oh, epoxy. You do that as well?
Yep.
Well, and talk to me. So the difference between polished concrete and epoxy, what's that?
So polish is more of a internal residential look. Epoxy, there's a number of different applications for that. So we do, from a single garage floor of residential home to a laboratory and a university.
Yeah.
So the different levels, there's quite a lot to it. Where polish, you've got a mechanical polish system, cut and seal and honed. Where with epoxy, the sort of
throw the flake on.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I didn't know you did that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a lot of it. Like, we don't really push hard, but for the projects that we do, 9 times out of 10 we're coming through at the end, finishing their garage.
That's that full package you're talking about, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
and most people, like, they've got this beautiful, $1 million home, and they don't want to just see concrete in the garage.
They want a shitty little unfinished garage. Yeah.
Give me the luxury.
Yeah, that's right.
Is that your micro cement there?
Yeah. Yep.
That's sick, dude.
Yeah. It's like a textured finish.
Yeah. Man, it just seems endless.
It is, mate.
That's so cool, dude.
And it is a timeless look. Like,
yeah, definitely. It reminds me of June. You know the movie June?
Yeah.
And that
House of Grey built.
Yeah, the House of Grey built. Yeah, dude, sick.
Yeah.
Is that the kind of thing you're going for?
Yeah, so they're the projects we want to sort of be on from start to finish. And then that will sort of add the complete package into it. Ground floor slabs, we do Dinsel as well, suspended slabs, sort of off-form decks, all that sort of stuff. So we do have the capabilities now to be able to construct something like that. We're just sort of waiting for someone to build one in Canberra.
How big's your team?
Mate, we got 6.
Yeah.
So we started, at my biggest we had 11, and now we've got a team of 6 producing a higher quality of work and more. So I think there's the whole sort of objective around having a big team means more money, means more work. No, I've been there, done that, and it was the worst 8 months of my life.
I fight with that all the time, yeah. It's really difficult to maintain quality, maintain momentum, maintain your reputation.
Yeah, that's right. And you're making, and what we found, we were making less by having a team that size. And I was working 7 days a week again with a team that size, and all I was doing was fixing shit. And the problem was we were going there in afternoons, early in the morning when builders weren't there, because we didn't want anyone to know these little things were happening.
That you weren't happy with?
No. And you lose control. Like you lose control, and the reputation we've built and the company that we have, like I'm not standing for any of that.
Well, you want to protect the outcome.
Yeah, that's right. Like I've, worked hard for the reputation we have, and I'm not letting a couple of 20-year-olds ruin that.
Just looking at your Instagram here, mate. This is fantastic too.
Yeah.
We were just talking. We had a little camera issue, but we were just talking about these stairs here and how cool this is. And what I was sort of saying was, like, what else are you going to put to an entry to a beautiful home like that? Yeah, well done on that one, mate.
No, thank you.
Hard to do. There's a bigger one there.
Yeah, that's right. So there's about 2 weeks in that, and about 16 cube of concrete.
Yeah, right.
So it doesn't look like it, but that is one big giant block, done in 4 pours.
Yeah, so that's every second one, is it?
Yep.
And then right.
Yeah, that's right. And the problem was when that house was built, that top step wasn't in. It was supposed to be tiled, so we had to come through, jackhammer that down, and that's actually a topping slab. And then we built everything around that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Working to that finish height.
Yeah.
Down you go.
That's right.
That's the carpentry coming back in.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But even that, you stare at for a good half an hour thinking, how the hell are we doing this?
It's you always want to. I feel like you always want to take on like the really challenging jobs, just to be like, I did that.
Yeah, that's right.
You turn up there,
100%.
I spoke to Luke from Hardwood Projects, and he's like, I turn up, and take the hardest job ever, and go, how the hell are we going to do this now?
Yeah. And that's what we do. Like 80% of our work is that, but then we still do contract homes. Your standard waffle with timber floors. I think more to give the boys a bit of a break, because the houses and the stuff, what is involved in that, it will fry your brain. And, back to back, they're not going to enjoy it. They're not going to like it. And they're sort of going to want to look elsewhere.
That's important as well, as you're saying, to give your boys a refresh. Because if you're doing the same monotonous thing over and over again, whether it be, different houses or different, setups, you sort of need to have a bit of a refresh to go away and go, I need it. It's like you go. It's like when you go away from home and you come back and you go, oh man, I love my house.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And especially like we're trying to get these houses within 3 mil. You've got 5 different levels, transitions, internal walls, and the whole thing's polished, so it has to be poured in one pour. Yeah. So that's where the true testimony of the guys we have and the level of work they can sort of achieve. That's when that sort of comes out.
Yeah, and you were saying how passionate they are as well.
They are, yeah. Like Sam, who runs the concrete side of the business, or he's the 2RC, runs all that. Like I'm very lucky to have him. He come over with about 20 plus years experience in concrete. He's done it all. He's done it all, and he will rock up to a house like that with the same passion as me, and to just get that thing as good as he possibly can. And it's good he's sort of leading charge, and all the boys underneath him are following that. So we are very lucky in that regard. Yeah.
Well, the value of a business, I think, is in their employees. And
100%. It seems like everything else, like business is like, this thing's the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life. But hiring is just another kettle of fish that I don't think anyone realises how truly hard that is and how much that can affect your business.
Definitely. Well, you have a set of standards, right?
Yeah.
And your standards are high. I like to think my standards are high as well. And you want the people you work with to have those high standards too. And that's where the challenge comes in.
Yeah, that's right.
How do you balance quality with business growth?
Oh, it's like a juggling act.
It is a juggling act.
Really? I think we got ourselves into a bit of a, like I was saying before, when we obviously took the concrete on, hired up, that was probably the worst possible time of my business career. Trying to get the workload out and retain quality was impossible. I think you have to be comfortable with, taking a step back, taking it at your own pace, and not really having tunnel vision for the end result, not really listening to the people around you, I guess, thinking, oh, fuck, what's he doing, blah, blah, blah. I think just slow, take it easy, build, work. Like what we're doing now is in the polish side, we've got that thing dialed. In the concrete, we've tried to train too many people at once and it's failed. So now we're getting good staff, training them up until we're at a point where we can leave them, bring someone fresh in and start the process again. I think for us, that's the only way we're going to expand. We've tried hiring concreters, they don't work out. You know what I mean? They just sort of, they're setting their values, where if we find someone, train them in the processes, train them, we find we get a lot better result out of that.
You've got to build them up.
Yeah.
You know? As you said, you get someone that's set in their ways, and it's really, really difficult.
Yeah.
You know,
that's right.
Like, I want it done like this because of like 1,000 different reasons.
Yeah.
Like, you might have the way that you've done it 100 times before, but I'm telling you, this is the way we need it to be done.
Yeah.
And like, you know, I could sit here and talk to you all afternoon about why, but I know that this works.
Yep.
And that's where it becomes really difficult.
Yeah.
You know?
And like in the concrete, you can maybe sort of get away with it because you've got a lot of guys there who can sort of pick up the pieces. In the polish, there is a specific system that we need to do to get that thing perfect. If you miss a step, that thing isn't going to look as good as we want. The problem we've had in the past is, you know, you leave your edges. Oh, you got some stuff. Oh, you know, it'll be all right. I reckon I can get it pretty good. It'll be good enough. And then, see you later. You'll last another 2 weeks and I'll find the spot and I'll get rid of you.
Yeah.
But so with the polish, I will refuse to hire anyone with experience. If you have a good work ethic, you want to learn the process, I'll teach you how to do it. Because we've hired polishers in the past and they're stuck in their system, their ways, and you can't for the life of you shake that.
Yeah. And it is, and that's one of the difficulties about business, right? You know, it's your reputation on the line, it's your last name.
That's right.
You know, and you know how it has to go. And if people don't want to listen to that because they think they know better, and it's like, well, go and do it yourself then.
Yeah,
man.
that's right.
And that's right. I feel like that's sort of understated in running a business and how difficult it is. Like your employees are definitely a representation of you.
Yep.
And they're also, as I said, you know, they're your biggest asset. But definitely getting them early, you can mold them. Hey, this is how you work. And, you know, you don't drag your feet, you know, walking back to the truck for a tool. You hot step it back there, mate.
Yeah, that's right.
Because we're running here. We're running, you know, we've got stuff to do.
Especially when it's summer and, you know, that concrete's going off. You know what I mean? Like you're not slowing that thing down. So hurry up, let's get this thing done. Yeah. And there's been a couple of
hurry up.
A couple of those. But the boys they understand that you sort of huddle up in a corner on the summer days and you go, whatever is said between now and 4 o'clock, it doesn't matter. We'll sort of vent after work and
you've got to do
it gets wild.
You've got to do that though. You know, to ensure the outcome is the way that you want it. You've really got to be, you know, paying attention to every little thing.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, I think with concrete, you've got a time limit. Like, you know, that's the difficulty and the big challenge that you've got as well. Like, it goes off after, well, depending on so many different factors, but
and we even have that in the polish as well. Like, you want to, when you're in your polishing phase, you want to be able to get a pass done, harden the floor with densify, and let that thing sit overnight. If you miss a step, slack off, you're either going to be there till 7 o'clock at night, or you're densifying in the morning and then looking at your watch thinking, shit, I'll just jump on it now, it'll be all right. So I think, across both sides, there is definitely an aspect of we need to hit our targets and our time to ensure this thing is as best as we can get it to our ability. Yeah,
because otherwise it's going to take you 5 times as long or, you know. Yeah.
That's right. And time management's a big thing, and that's what we drum into the boys. Like, you know, we've got 3 days to set this thing up, you know, or you've got a week to polish this slab. If you want to do a bit overtime for the first couple of days, have a half day on Friday, sweet, but this thing needs to be done. Yeah. And that's how long it would essentially take me with a little bit of fat. So I can't see why you can't get it done. Yeah,
I always like to go off, you know, if they're working at 50% of how I would work, then I'm ahead. You know?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And I know I need to pull myself up. Like, my expectations, you know, what I've been told off a couple of sort of disgruntled employees, my expectations are a bit too high. So I'm trying to, you know, wind back a little bit and go, okay, right, well, I'll give you an extra day. Yeah. So, but I've never once got the shits at the boys for taking too long, as long as it's right. Yeah. If you piss fart around and you know it's not to my standard, I'm not going to be happy.
We've got trouble.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Hey, you need to have those standards in though. Like, you know, like I think working for good businesses, like you've worked for Brother Projects, like they've got those standards and processes in there. You follow them, you know that they work.
That's right.
You work hard, you know, and at the end of the week, you feel like you've done a good job.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that's right. And I think especially I learned a lot off Nathan Jamie about they had their shit dialed, their processes and everything in place, but they put it to you and come across like you're not getting attacked. Like, hey, let's do this to get to the end result. It was more of a a friendly chat, and I think that's what I think that I'm like. Whether the boys agree or not, but yeah, I think that putting the right processes in place, hitting targets, I think that's what makes this business.
Yeah, that's what makes business, man.
Yeah.
And talking to you, you've got these processes down packed.
Yeah.
But the biggest challenge that I think we have in business is our employees. Like, there's so many different factors to it, and it's almost like you inherit everyone else's problems, right?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And I talk about it sometimes, like this week I was a psychologist, and next week I was the uncle. Hey mate, it's going to be okay. And you deal with everything from breakups to deaths in the family to all their buying new houses. Their stuff. So it's definitely a roller coaster, and yeah, it's fun.
Yeah,
but I enjoy the struggle.
I do. Yeah. And I think that's what if you don't go through that, I think that's what tough. Good businesses are built in tough times. I think, and that's what sort of builds resilience, makes you strong, makes you be able to sort of take on whatever life has to throw at you in that regard.
So you're intentionally staying small at the moment?
Yeah.
And you're just looking to, take on the work that you want to take on?
Yeah, that's right. The concrete threw a spanner in the works. Like, I didn't for a second think it was going to be as hard to sort of, bring that across, manage that. So we have really taken a step back. I would probably go as far as say we're working at about 60%. We're still busy, but, we've got capabilities to polish 5,000 square metres a week. We've got enough formwork, materials and everything to set up 1,500 squares of waffle, you know what I mean? So we do have room for that expansion, but the only thing holding us back now is that we don't have enough hands, which is fine. We're still doing 300 plus metres a week in the concrete. We're still polishing, close to 250 a week. So we're still profitable. We're still charging, but we got a lot more in the tank.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, the government's put out they want to build 30,000 homes by the end of 2030. Yeah. So there should be a good bit of capacity coming out. I watched the news last night. Most of them are units.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah,
a bit disappointing there.
Yeah. But right.
If there's still going to be people that want a home, that want a standalone home. So I think where that'll push forward to is the knockdown rebuilds and the renovations and stuff like that.
Yeah, and that's where we've situated ourselves. Like, at 90% of our work, or I would say more, I don't think we've really stepped foot onto a new block in the last 18 months, really. Most of the stuff we're doing, knockdown rebuilds, we're sort of situated in the south. So yeah, we've sort of got that niche down. But I think you're right. Yeah, it's either remodels or knockdown rebuilds, and then sort of put all the small
everything else in
living.
between.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm excited for the future. Like, last year was so tough. I feel like.
Yep.
And with rates coming down, and I know that there's wars going on.
Yeah, and that's the spanner in the works, isn't it?
That is the spanner in the works. But what's working in your business model right now?
I think the biggest thing is the two key things is our processes and our boys. Like, they're the two things that we sort of focus on. If they're right, everything else will fall into place. Even down to a cash flow point of view, like, we know where every single cent that we spend is going. We've got daily logs that we do. So every 3 months we'll do a daily log for 12 weeks, and we will log every single day what was spent, what was made, and everything, just to see where our money's going, to see where we can improve, tighten things up, or spend money elsewhere. So I think working out where your money's going, working out your processes, and just making sure the boys are dialed. They've got everything that they sort of want, whatever they need to get the job done.
Dialed seems to be the key word of today. It's like the buzzword, mate.
Yeah.
And the more I talk to you, the more like I get amped up, and I'm like, chomping at the bit.
Yeah.
And like, just talking to you now, like, you seem dialed. Like, you're thinking about 1,000 different things at once. Like, I feel like I'm sort of similar, but it's tough, isn't it? Like, in terms of like to keep up with everything.
Yeah, and especially like me personally, I've got a bit of, I'm pretty bad with ADD and OCD. And, mate, I'll be sitting on the lounge at 10 o'clock at night, watching a movie with my missus, just looking at a slab. And she's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, and I'm just thinking about it. You know what I mean? I'm thinking about where, you know, we've just done this 500 square metre house slab. You know, we've done one out at Sutton. We got this thing within 3 mil. And I'm like, man, that's cool. And I'm like, how can we get better than that? And I amp myself up, and you're just laying in bed looking at the roof thinking, yeah, I can't wait to go to work.
Yeah, that's it. You get a new tool or whatever. Yeah. Same sort of deal. I'm the same. Like, I like to say I'm MAD. I'm fucking mad.
Yeah.
Because it seems like every challenge that gets put in front of me, like there's that, I just want to jump on it and smash it right now.
Yeah. And then you have a free day and you're like, oh, what are you going to go today? I'm like, I just want to go and wash my truck. You know what I mean?
I want to work on the house.
Yeah, that's right. So it's a bittersweet. You know, it's something that I need to work on in my personal time.
The next question I was going to ask is, how do you switch off? What do you do to?
I don't. Like, I do. It's really hard, and it's something that I'm trying to work on. But I think I'm hungry, and I just every little thing I want to improve on. So even, you know, if you're away with your family on the weekend, you're still just thinking about it. And it's really, really hard. And I think, which is bad, because when it's going good, you cheat up, and when it's going bad, it's 10 times worse.
Yeah, definitely.
And
it really affects your day-to-day mood. You know? And I've had to build some things in. I you know, it's really difficult for me to do, but I don't pick my phone up after 6 o'clock at night.
I'm the same now.
I can't look at emails because I'll just get amped up, and you know, my missus, you know, stop looking at your emails, and like I won't be able to do anything. It's almost like I'm, you know, paralyzed. I'm like, I need to sort that out right now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I'm the same. Like, I won't before 7 o'clock, or if it's a builder, you know, we've been, you know, that we've sort of mates with, I'll answer my phone whatever time of the day. But yeah, if it's just, you know, a new client or something, like I can't answer it after 5.
Yeah.
And before 7. And then with emails, we're probably lacking a little bit on staff, so I'm on the tools a lot. With that, the office side of things doesn't struggle, but it gets forced into night. So, you know, you finish work at 6:30 at night, come home, spend an hour or two with your missus, cook dinner, you know, just wait for her to go to bed, jump in the computer, and you're there till 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. And the time goes so quickly at night.
It does, yeah.
You know, you feel like you've just sat down, and then, you look up and it's like 12:30, 1 o'clock. And
And then you're right, you're amped up about an email. You're thinking, oh, fuck, how am I going to respond to this?
Yeah.
And then you don't sleep, and then you got you know, 3 hours sleep, and you've got to be up at 4:30, 5 o'clock, back at the workshop loading trucks.
Yeah, that's it. But, you know, we do love it. And I think, you know, for me, like, I've been consciously thinking about that, you know, trying to avoid burnout or whatever they want to call it.
Yeah.
And just trying to, I guess, get away from it and you know, pencil in holidays and go and have some time not thinking about work, because it's a trap you get into because you want to do so well.
Yep.
And you care so much about it. You feel like almost when you're not thinking about it, you feel guilty almost.
Oh, 100%. If you're not, the first 4 or 5 years of business, I worked 7 days a week. I was doing minimum 80 hours, and then you have a Sunday off because you've got to go to, you know, a family's birthday party, and you're like, shit, I need to be at work. And you're just sitting there and you feel guilty, and you just, don't know what to do. So that's something, you know, me and my partner, we've sold our house. We're moving to a bigger place to force that slowdown. And, you know, that's, I think, the next phase of my life. Continue pushing hard with the business, bring in a couple more good guys, and then, you know, get married, start settling down, having kids. And hopefully that's what I need to be able to shift this, because, it's hard. It's hard.
But it is hard, but it's rewarding.
It is,
you know?
yeah.
I think that, you know, the more you put in, the more you get out. Yeah. And, you know, you start from nothing, start from scratch, and you build up. You're so protective over it. It's almost like a child itself. Like, you know, no, I have to do this because it needs me. You know?
That's right.
That's right. And you care so much about, you know, how you guys are or girls. Where do you want Brack to be in 5 years?
I think a little bit more growth, but where we are now, I'm happy with. I think we could turn through a bit more work, but like I said, we're just sort of in that relaxed phase, just working out our next move. Sort of, you know, we're working on, you know, launching this showroom. We've got samples to give to architects. You know, we're in this loading phase. Once that's sort of complete, we will push hard again, marketing, all that sort of stuff. Look, I think
it's a tricky question.
Everyone
sort of, you know, everyone when I ask them that, they sort of, how do I explain it? They don't want to overcommit.
That's right. Yeah, because I've got things in my head that I want to say, but I'm like, if I say
it, I have to do it.
I have to do it. Yeah. We've got things like we're in talks now with a national company about buying a single 7-figure piece of machinery that will dramatically improve the quality of concreting in Canberra. Like, I believe if we were to purchase this, we would be on every single commercial site in Canberra. Problem with that is it's a big unit. It's such a big price. We're just trying to work through licensing agreements now.
Yeah.
That's most likely going to go ahead, but I don't want to say, we're going to be doing this, blah, 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 because, unless we get sort of what we want, we're not interested. In regards to the concrete and the polish, we want to create a system, a process that will just make us untouchable to anyone in the market. I think we're on our way there. Once we launch this showroom, get people through, I don't think that people are really going to be able to compete with the product we're going to be able to deliver. That's probably where we want to be in 5 years.
Mate, it sounds like you've got a lot of good things in the pipeline. That's really exciting.
Yeah.
No wonder you can't sleep.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Inspiring the next generation I've got here. I go through this with everyone, right? What do you think we need to do to get more people into trades, into construction, into concreting?
I think the problem is the whole stereotype around trades. Kids they want as much money as they can by doing the least amount of work. I think we sort of get people in trades sort of get looked down on as such. That's why, in my opinion, young people don't want to get into it. Maybe it's that. Maybe it's they're probably scared of hard work.
Well, I've seen a couple of things you probably would have on Instagram and maybe TikTok with people, these young guys saying, why would you want to work for, hardly any money and get yelled at all day and this and this and this, and I'm just sort of like, you're missing the point.
Yeah.
Like, you're getting paid to learn.
That's right.
To start with.
Yep.
And like you're working outside with your hands, learning a skill that no one will be able to take away from you.
Yeah, that's right. And like I say, to young kids, like, we'll bring you one at 18 and pay $1,000 a week and give you ute. Like, tell me where you can go and get that.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? The work's hard, I get it, but we're teaching you a skill. You could one day go out on your own and make a shit ton of money. Like, what is the problem with that?
Yeah.
So,
but not only a skill, we teach these young guys and girls. We teach them how to their life skills, like how to communicate.
Yep.
And I feel like the fundamental of working hard. When you put in a real big day and you walk off site and you jump in your car, like, the feeling I get is, I'm tired, but I feel great.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, geez, that was good.
Yeah.
Yep,
100%.
And it frustrates me, these, people on TikTok and Instagram that are talking about this stuff and sort of ragging on trades and, who'd want to do that and stuff like that. Well, if you don't want to do that, go and sit in an office, mate.
Yeah, that's right.
It's not for you, so that's fine.
And that's what I say. Like, what's the, you don't want to do this, well, what's the alternate? Like, what do you want to do? Because you're not going to go out and, invest in Bitcoin tomorrow. So, like, what are you planning to do with your time? Yeah. Like, come out, even if it's for the next 3 years, make good money, work in a team environment, in the heat, in the cold, deal with problems, learn and develop as a kid. Or do you want to go and, sit in an office and get yelled at by someone? I don't know.
Yeah, or try and scam people.
Yeah, that's right.
We definitely need to, I guess, change the way that trades are seen. I think that's a starting point. And I feel like getting people their foot in the door, like, I'm sure if someone came to you and they had the right attitude and they wanted to work, you'd be all for it.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's it. Like, if you've got a good attitude, I can teach you how to do the work. If you want to show up, you're punctual, all that sort of stuff. That's all we need.
That's all we need.
We used to say, righto, you need experience, you need this, you need that, and got you nowhere really. So as long as you've got a good attitude, we can teach you whatever you want.
Anything.
Yeah.
Anything. Yeah. I feel like content's going to be a part of it. I feel like, businesses like yourself, like, you've got a really good online presence. And I know when you put up any photos, you get hundreds of likes.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's a way we can get younger people into it, I guess, by, showing off what we're doing and what it's all about.
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, why did you start sharing your work online?
I think it's really the only way of advertising moving forward, right? I think we tried through, Canberra Weekly and all that sort of stuff. I'm talking back 8 years ago. And then, we just sort of every little thing that we done different, all projects that we completed, Instagram, and then, just sort of took off from there.
Yeah. Well, yeah, visual medium, I think, is the best way to go about it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
You do some really cool videos and like your content is really well curated.
Yeah.
Very attention to detail.
Yeah. And I think that's what, like, a big thing with having 2 Instagram pages. I think our polished side of things, we just want to showcase our complete work. We've found that our clients and our sort of the focus that we want to show isn't the process, it's that completed look. It's like people want to see that floor with a nice kitchen with painted walls, everything. So we sort of refrain from putting mobile videos up as a post. As a story, we'll pump that, but then in the concrete side of things, we like to sort of showcase the process, how we do things, and how that slab comes about, really.
Yeah, we were just talking about inspiring the next gen. I feel like content is a really big part of doing that. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Hey, this is what a day looks like, with the team at Brack, and we work hard and look at the finished product over here on this one as well. So.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and to make it look, like you're, I don't know, cool as such, I think is what's going to try and bring those young guys in, because they want to be able to go to their mates on the weekend and go, shit, look at this, I'm working for Brack, check his Instagram out.
Yeah.
And I think that's the sort of fluff them up that way, I think is what's going to sort of bring them into our side of the business. But yeah, with everyone else, I think, there's a lot of good guys out there in Canberra at the minute pumping social media, pumping the professional photos, the videos and everything. And I think we just need to keep on with that. I
think it's a big part of being a business owner today, like, getting into content creation and pushing that forward to, I guess, show people what you're doing and how you're doing it and why you're doing it that way.
Yeah, that's right. And I think I personally, I would rather allow our work to do the talking, but as sort of time goes on, people want to see the face behind the brand, which that's something that I'm going to have to try and adapt to, because I like, hiding in the corner, hiding away and just saying, hey, this is the work we do, next sort of thing. But yeah, as time goes on.
This is a good start, mate.
Yeah, that's right. I think this is the first time my face has been on social media in about 8 years. So yeah, so I think it's just, we have to adapt to it. It's a forever changing industry. So the sooner we get used to it, the better, I think. But
that's right.
It's going to be a tough road for me, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, look, I wanted to highlight good businesses and talk to people behind these good businesses, and you're definitely one of them. And it's really impressive to see how high detailed you are and how high your standards are. And I really love that.
No, thank you. Appreciate that.
Keep doing that. And yeah, like, I feel like we've got a lot in common. A lot of the people running businesses, I feel, have a lot in common, from the standards and their processes and things like that. And what other things do you think?
I think we're all different, but in some way the same. I think Canberra's, it's bittersweet where it's small enough that everyone knows what you're doing, big enough that we've all got a lot of work, but we've still got that community around us. I know that, a lot of the builders we work for, you can call them up on the weekend, they're going to answer, go over for a beer or whatever. And I guess that's, we all are doing the same thing, interested in the same thing, trying to push this industry as far as we can in regards to showing the rest of the country, there is quality in Canberra, check this out.
100% there's quality here, mate.
Yeah.
And, with companies like yourself pushing forward, you've got Brother Project. There's an endless amount of builders you could list off. Casey Projects, I think you mentioned.
Yeah, we do a lot with Jake. And, he's an incredible young man where he's built a very, very successful company, and he's 32, you know what I mean, and he's building these houses that haven't really been in Canberra. If competition like that has been built, you're talking about the old guys, 40, 50 years old. So I commend him on what he's doing, and again, his level of detail. We do all his work, and it sometimes gets a little bit frustrating, we were doing a big one out at Gundaroo, and we were within 8 mil over 52 meters, and he's like, yeah, no, I fix that. I'm like, fuck, no worries, mate. Too easy. So he keeps us honest, but you got to have respect to the dude. Like he's, these things are impeccable.
It's good to work with good operators.
That's
though.
right. Yeah. Yeah. And it doesn't, and even with that, the boys sort of kick the dirt a bit, get the shits, and it's like, do it. You know what I mean? And they understand, but it keeps you honest, keeps you on your toes, and
keeps you pushing harder.
Pushing hard, yeah.
All right, we're going to go the quick fire round. But that's never quick fire, everyone. It's so take it all the time you want with all the answers. Mate, what's one tool you can't live without on site?
Concrete would be a laser.
Yep.
Polish a straight edge. Believe it or not. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is profiling a slab stage 1. If you go to a slab that's got deviation in it, as soon as you start to pull shine out of that, you're going to know pretty quick that it's not 100%. That's why, we'll make sure our edges are straight across the floor. It can be within a couple of mil, you're not going to pick it, but if there is a hump or something, get rid of that straight away.
Are you all top con? CPI? What have you run?
We're Hilti.
Hilti. Oh, lovely.
Yeah, lovely. Yeah, not cheap, but they are. Yeah, we find. Yeah, we've got two Hiltis, and they're unreal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good gear. What's the biggest myth about polished concrete?
That it's maintenance free, I think, would be a big one. And slip resistance. Yeah. So although throughout the life of the floor, 100% polished concrete is the cheapest in regards to maintaining it, all that sort of stuff, but you still need to love it. You still need to care for it. You need to clean it. If you spill something, clean it up. It is still concrete. If you leave something on there for long enough, it will penetrate. If you clean it up straight away, clean it regularly, that floor will look like the day you finished it for the next 15 years.
Yeah.
And then I think in regards to slip resistance, we're polishing supermarkets with this, so we can still achieve a beautiful gloss finish with a P4 slip rating.
Yeah. Big misconception there.
Sure. That's right.
And around pools, that's where that's really
that's right. We're doing shit tons of pools at the minute, and then we've got a couple of different variations of it. We can either acid etch it, which will drop the cement lower than the stone, still hone it so the stones are flat. That'll offer slip resistance. Use a semi-penetrating sealer, or if they want that seamless look, we use a polyurethane with aluminum oxide through it just to give it that slip resistance. So yeah. Again,
there's a lot in concrete, a lot in polished concrete. Yeah. If you could fix one thing in the construction industry tomorrow, what would it be?
I think it would be, in regards to construction in a whole, it would be the red tape. It would be the rules and regulations, the hold-ups in council, we need to get these things out and start building. So it's the approvals side of things. I think that needs an overhaul. And in regards to concrete itself, I personally think it needs to be regulated more. I say that because you can, in ACT, you don't have to be licensed. So you can rock up in an old Hilux ute with a screed on the back, call yourself a concreter, and go do the foundation of someone's home. That doesn't really sit well with me. So I think concrete needs to be more regulated. I think the grinding and polishing side needs to be more regulated. I think, in regards to dust management, the gear specified, what you can use, I think that needs to be, someone needs to take a look at that.
Silica's a big one there, isn't it?
It is, yeah, that's right. And
we didn't even really touch on that today.
Yeah, and that's a if you're doing the right thing, it's not a problem. The reason these laws have been brought in is because of people doing the wrong thing. You know what I mean? We'll rock up to site with $500,000 worth of gear, trucks, H-class vacs, 3-phase. We were polishing a shopping centre in Goulburn, doing a couple shops in there, main floor. We're there with kitted up to the nines. And then there's some dude in there with a 3-phase grinder, a single-phase vac, and his daughter's squeegeeing up concrete dust on school holidays.
Yeah.
And you're looking at that thinking that's the problem.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And then these laws that just got brought in cost me $100,000. You know what I mean? Because you don't want to buy the right equipment.
The game in the system, that's definitely to get rid of the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Mate, what's the best advice you've ever received?
It would probably be take your time. It's like running, building a business. It's not a race. You know what I mean? When I was young, I would work 100 hours a week. I wouldn't sleep. I'd just be a madman, just trying to get to that end result as quickly as I could. But, just take your time, build a strong foundation.
You've got to go slow to go fast.
That's right. Yeah. And just make sure, money comes and goes, but that product that you leave behind will be there forever. Everybody will forget about how long it took you to do, but what they're not going to forget is how good that product is.
Really, yeah, mate, 100%.
Yeah.
Definitely agree with that. What keeps you grounded outside of work, Sam?
I'd probably say my family. They're brutally honest. So as soon as you start to get a bit of a pep in your step, they knock you down a couple of pegs pretty quick.
Yeah.
In a good way. So I think that, every time you start to go, I've done this job, it was, no one's going to touch me. And they're like, yeah, they probably are. Like, and you're like, oh shit, okay. Yeah, you're right. You know what I mean? So, I'd say that. Yeah. Family's a big one.
Yeah. They're normally the biggest critics and the biggest supporters.
Yeah,
Weird
that's
how
right.
That works, right?
Oh, for sure. Like I would not be sitting here today if it wasn't for them. Yeah. You know what I mean? They've all played a massive role in building this thing, and they've all played a very different role to each other. So I'm very grateful for that.
It's always weird when you're at your lowest point. They're usually the ones that pick you up and dust you off. No, you can do it.
Yeah.
But then when you're on the opposite, like you were just saying, like you're walking around, you got the shoulder roll going. They're like, what are you doing, dickhead?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Mate, who deserves a shout out, or who should come on the podcast? Who's doing good work?
I think one that stands out for me, Jake, obviously. Details by Ned. Don't know the bloke. Been following him. Been looking at the work he's done, at the War Memorial. And, man, he's killing it. Like, I was, having a chat with Jake the other day, and I said, you look at some of this stuff and you're like, how has he done that? You know what I mean? So he's doing incredible work. The Fitzpatrick brothers, Dan and Aaron. Dan's
where are they from?
Megaflora and Craftworks.
Yeah.
From Aaron, he's just there. They are dialed across every aspect of building. I think they're doing some incredible work.
There's a long list.
There's a long list. Yeah. Chris Walmsley, we do. We've done a heap of stuff for him over the last 9 years, and he has it dialed in regards to how to build a home. I think when he sort of partners up with people, like Ben Walker and architects like that, they're
unstoppable.
Some of the nicest houses you'll see and walk into. So, but again, that's not picking favourites. That's just you're just highlighting the good people you've seen. That's right. Yeah. And there's a lot of good there's a lot of talent in Canberra and a lot of good builders out there.
Definitely.
A lot of guys that are sort of flying below the radar, but I think
we want to highlight them just like yourself, Sam. I want to get in and I want to talk to them and see what they're doing.
Yep.
And see how dialed they are.
Yep.
Mate, where can people get in touch with you and check out your work?
Just on our website, we've got all our details there. There's a form you can fill out. It sort of just highlights.
That's Brack Designs.
Yep. On our website.
Brackdesigns.com.au.
So that'll give you all of our information. Shoot us an email, send through, just give me a call, tell me what you think, what you're after, and we can start the conversation.
Sounds good. Mate, thank you again so much for coming in. Really appreciate it. It's been a really, really good conversation. And it's good to sit down with someone like-minded, running a dialed business. And I've really enjoyed this.
Yeah, me too. Thank you very much.
All the best. Cheers.
Thank you.